Good afternoon. In this video, we're going to go over the watch list. Before we get into the watch list, if you're not in the room, you can find the room link in the description of the video and in the bio sections of social media. As far as earnings this week, we get Amazon Tuesday after close with Google, and then we have UPS, Alibaba Tuesday morning. So it'd be a pretty big week as far as earnings. PayPal and QCOM and eBay is on Wednesday after close, and Spotify and Humana Wednesday before market opens. So that's going to be a pretty big week for earnings. But it seems like there's been a lot of earnings beats the last week, and the stocks have been dropping on that because of just PE ratio being off, disconnected, the market being up quite a bit, and drama going on in the stock market world. So and we get a weekly bearish candle on SPY. I'm anticipating we're going to drop more. We got room to like the 363 area, then we have that 355, then 350 will be a big area, then 340. So we'll have to see how far we'll end up dropping. We're probably going to end up seeing what we saw like this past week, a red day, then a dead cat bounce, and then the next day would be another red lower day. So we could see something like that this week. So we'll just have to see what happens and adjust accordingly. So as far as the bullish side, which I don't have that much on it, everything seems to be pretty toppy, and just looks like it's gonna drop more. So a lot of stocks just look too overbought, and things can just keep going up. I mean, the market can recover and everything could end up going higher. So we'll just trade accordingly if that does happen. But I do like Lulu, especially over the 330 area for a push to let's see, 335. The 340 area will be big, and if 340 breaks, you get 345 and 350, basically those $5 numbers, and you get 350, 355 and 360. So it ends up finding resistance about every $5 or so on Lululemon. So it's getting pretty oversold on the daily, means holding this 320 area pretty well. So it did break it below over here, but that was after earnings. So we'll have to see. Earnings is not coming anytime soon. I think that it's going to be I don't remember when it's. Yeah, I think it's going to be. It's probably going to be in March, based on what it's been doing the last. Yeah, it's been March, the end of March. So earnings is not anywhere close. So don't have to worry about that. Now FedEx is another one. I know UPS has earnings, and FedEx will be a nice sympathy off that if UPS has blowout earnings. So it's getting pretty oversold. I mean, you can see the RSI having a bullish divergence going on. It's making a lower low, and the RSI is making a higher low. So it's diverging there. So I would expect that it could possibly turn around. I would watch it over the 238 area for a push to 242, 245, then the 250 gap fill. Now if it does manage to get any strength, I mean, it's got a big area in 252 and 255, so I would watch those areas. Now I have Facebook on here. Now I know Facebook, if you look at the weekly, Facebook could drop a lot more. But if the market does turn around, Facebook's probably going to be one of the first ones that's going to do it, because it's been holding this area, the 257. It's been bouncing. I mean, it dropped below it right here, just a little bit, but it quickly reversed. But it bounced here a little bit, here, went under a little bit, then it just reversed. So I mean, it's finding this area right in here. It bounced. So it's finding this 256, 257 area to be a pretty significant support that it could actually bounce off from. So I would watch it over 260 for a push to 265, 270, 275. So that's what I would watch on Facebook. Now Walmart is another one. Walmart, it could definitely go lower, but what I'm looking at is it's got a little gap fill right here. Actually, did it fill that gap? It did fill that gap. Yeah, okay. For some reason, I thought it didn't fill the gap, but yeah, it did fill the gap. So I would definitely watch this for possibly a reversal. Now the weekly, you know, it kind of got like a little bit of a head and shoulders on the weekly, and you can see it here: left head, right shoulder, left head, right shoulder. I mean, it definitely can drop more. Could drop down to 134, 135, 130 area, but if it does end up reversing, I mean, look at the hourly RSI. I mean, it's down like 25, and on the daily it's at 35. So I mean, it could have a dead cat bounce. So I'd watch it over like let's say 140, 150 for a push to 143, 144, 145, 146 would be a big area. You get it acting as resistance right here, and it was support over here and resistance here. So it's that this area here, right here, 146 is going to be a big area for it to break. So okay, on the bearish side, I have BA. Now BA is just I'm looking at the daily. You get some gaps to fill right here at the 189. Then you get this big area down at below 175. So this is a big gap fill right here. I'm not sure if it'll actually fill it or not. We'll have to see. I mean, it's chopping right here, and if the market gets really nasty and bloody, that underneath 192.50, or even you could say 192, that it's probably going to fill that gap to 187. Then I personally think it's going to go back down to the 180, 175 area. So we'll have to see if that's actually true. Now, as far as it filling the gap, unless the market's really, really bloody and there's something going on, I would think it's going to bounce right here, because it's going to be gap support. It's going to be the first time it's tested the gap support, and usually it acts as gap support and bounces off it at least once before breaking through it and filling the gap. So we'll definitely have to watch the area. Now Shack is another one I'd be watching for the short side. You get this long wick on the weekly, so I would watch it underneath let's see, underneath Friday's lows of like, say, you can say 112 for a push down to 107, actually 108. And if it does break that 108 area, it's I mean, it's going to be a pretty big area down to 103 on the weekly, 104. Now then you get the 100 would be a big psychological number, but when it breaks that 100, then you get room down to 97. Then 90, the 90 area will be a big area. So that's going to be it could have a big drop on Shack. So definitely 90 is definitely in the cards if it can break these other areas of you know, 108 and 100 and 104. So those will be big areas. We'll have to see if Shaq can do that. Netflix is another one. Whoops, I typed it in wrong. Now Netflix, I mean, you get the weekly. It's just staying in this zone, in this area of 550. Can't get over the 575, 570 area. It just rejects it every time. Then ends up finding support in the 480. So I would definitely think that that's possible that it could happen this week. So I would watch it underneath the under 530 for a push down to the 520 area. 520 would be a big area because it acts as support and resistance. And if it does break that, I mean, then you get the let's see, 510 area. Then you get, yeah, the 510 area is going to be another big area right in here. Then you get obviously 500 would be a big area. Then you get the 480. So I would watch those areas because there's a lot of a chop going in around here. As far as support and resistance, so 520, 510, 500 would be a big psychological number. Then you get the 590 area. Then basically every $10 is big support and resistance for those numbers. So I would definitely look for those areas of support every $10 drop if it does end up dropping. ROKU is another one. Now ROKU has just been going on a tear, and I just think it's going to end up keep pulling back more. And you get the gap fill right here at 379. Then you get another gap right here at the 450. So If Roku can get below Friday's lows of 383 and breaks that, then you can see a gap fill to 380. Then you get support right here at 365-ish area. Then you get the gap fill at 350, 330, 333, 332 area. Then you get another 320 right in here that could act as support too. So if it ends up dropping, this would be the area I'd be watching, right in the 350 to 330 area. See if that can get down. And now if that ends up breaking, I mean, it's pretty much open air down here. I mean, there's really not much here except for this area broke out of 240, 250 area. So I don't imagine it's going to drop that much that fast, but I mean, who really knows? I mean, you look at right here where it got exaggerated the next week. It just what's the range on that week? That looks big, but it's probably not. 152 to, well, it's a $50 drop right there. So, but that was a $50 drop too. So this week, yeah, close. So yeah, definitely watching that. Then we have NVIDIA. Now NVIDIA is just chopping. The weekly is just chopping and chopping and chopping. It's barely holding the middle Kellner channel, and if the market gets weak, I think that it will break this this 510 area. Then you get that big area of 500. Now if it does manage to lose 500, I mean, it's got room to drop, and it can drop to 470. Then you get 430, 450 will be a big number psychologically, but 500, if 500 breaks, it could drop quite a bit. So definitely be watching NVIDIA. Baidu, my charts are lagging. Toss is lagging. Hopefully Toss won't lag so much. I mean, Baidu, you know, it gets up to the 260, rejected here, and it started to pull back on right here this past week. So I'm anticipating it's going to end up keep going lower, especially if the market's red. So I'll be looking underneath 230 for a push to 220. Then you get this area right here, 200, another big psychological area. If it does break that, you get the 186 area, 185 area. Then you get the the 220 area would be pretty big, but 200 would probably be the big area in the 185 area. So it does break this 185 that you got right in here on the weekly, the 162, 165 area. So I don't imagine it's going to drop that much that fast. I would say if it does markets weaken, it Baidu ends up dropping, I would definitely look for it to 220 to 210, maybe even 200 area. Probably end up bouncing at 200. So definitely watch that. Hone is another one. Honeywell, now you can see it has this big gap up. It's got a curving top right here, and it's testing gap support. I mean, it's the first time it's testing it, but if the market's weak and it's already right there, it could just fill the gap. Usually they end up testing the gap support and bouncing. If the market's strong or green, Honeywell Hone could end up bouncing a little bit, but if the market's weak, this is going to fill the gap. So I would definitely watch it under Friday's lows of 194 for a gap fill into the 185 area. So it could quite possibly fill the gap this week if the market's weak. So I don't want to, there's so many charts that look bearish, and I don't want to have too many on the list. I'm just focusing on a few, and those few particularly that could provide the biggest drops, like BA, Shaq, Netflix, Roku, NVIDIA, Baidu, and Hone. So there's more out there that could drop too, and I'll probably end up watching, but I think these provide the biggest chance of a bigger move, and so just trade accordingly. And if the market's strong, just adjust your bias and your game plan to adapt to the market conditions, and trade accordingly, because like I say all the time, that all it's going to take is one news event or something to happen, one tweet, and everything could change. And now that Yellen's on the is part of the Treasury now, I mean, who knows what she's going to end up doing. So more stimulus news about, I don't know, we'll just have to see and trade accordingly, and trade to what the price action is telling us. So that's going to be it for the watch list. Thank you for watching.